Hi guys, this is Dr. Suguna. In this video, I am going to explain about inheritance and its types in Python. Let us understand what is inheritance. Inheritance means a class can inherit the properties and behaviors from the another class. A new class can reuse the code of the existing class. The class being inherited from is called as the base class, and the class inheriting from it is called as a derived class. That this derived class can access the public and the protected members of the base class. The derived class can also have a new methods and variables attached to it, and it can also override the existing methods of the base class. So this supports hierarchical organization of the classes and creating a class hierarchy or an inheritance tree. Now the syntax is you need to define a child class, like name of the child class, and within bracket you need to give the name of the parent class to indicate this is inheriting the properties of the parent class. So we have different types of inheritance. Single inheritance means a class is derived from only one class. You have a single child, single parent. Multiple inheritance means we have a single child, multiple parent. Multi-level means this child will become a parent in the next level. Hierarchical inheritance means multiple child classes derived from a single parent class. And hybrid inheritance means it is a combination of two or more inheritance types. So single inheritance means that we have a single parent class and single child class. A is the parent, B is the child. Single inheritance is useful whenever you want to reuse the code of the parent class in the child class. Here is an example. So A is the parent class, and here we have written within this class one function. Nothing but it is just printing. Remember that all the functions which you are defining inside the class will have a self as a default parameter. And similarly, you are writing a B class, which is a child class, which is whose parent is A, and you have written a function like child class method. Next, you need to create an object to access all these methods. We are creating an object for the child class. So that object name is obj, and with this object you are trying to access the methods of its parent class as well as its own class. Okay, so its own class, it is having this method disp, and in the parent class it is having write. So we are accessing both the things, and you will get the output as parent class method and child class method. Now another example is in this parent class we are using two methods, add and the sub. So in the add method, I am passing two parameters A and B, and in the sub also I am passing two parameters. So whenever you create an object, you can pass these parameters. Or when you access this method, you can also pass these parameters. Now in the child, you have written one function which is just displaying child class method. So I am creating an object for this child, and I am calling the function x.add and supplying two parameters, and I'm calling the method sub, and I am supplying two parameters. So whenever you call these methods, you have to use this object. Along with the object only, you have to call these functions. Okay, so these two functions, X is the object for the child class, and using this object I am trying to access the parent class methods as well as the child class method. So your output will be like this. Multiple inheritance. So what do you mean by multiple inheritance? You have a multiple parent and only one child class. So multiple inheritance is useful when we want to combine the functionality of the multiple classes in a single class. So remember that you have two parents and one child. Okay, so we have given an example like this class name is parent1 having one function fun1, parent2 having one function fun2, where simple message is given, and child class is inheriting from both the parents. So you will be within bracket, you will be writing parent1 comma parent2, and here we are using this one function display. Now whenever I want to create an object, I will be creating an object for the child class only. So I am creating an object, and through this object I can access both the parents method as well as its own method. So I am accessing the first parent method x dot fun1 and x dot fun2 method of the second parent, and I am accessing its own class. So you'll be seeing output like this. And another example, we'll take an example like we have a parent class as bank where I am defining some savings amount. Like initially the amount is 0 and I'm assigning some amount for value for that. So how do I assign? I use this class name dot and this variable, and I can assign some amount. And I'm creating another parent class gold, and I'm using one variable invest, and I'm assigning some value for that variable, so by just mentioning the class name gold dot invest, and I'm printing that. Okay, now I'm creating a child class and whose parents are bank and the gold. Now I'm just creating a function display which will display the total profit, which will add bank dot amount and the gold dot invest. So what do? I just create an object for this child class, and then I can access all the functions. So I can access savings, I can access amount, I can access the display. So output will be like savings amount. So since I am calling savings function, it will display the savings amount is this one as per my print statement, and it is calling amount, and it is calling the display, which will add these two values and it will print. Next is multi-level. Multi-level means you have a parent, a child. Next level, this child becomes a parent. So this is an example. So A is the base class, B is the child of A, and C is the child of B. Okay, so this is called multi-level inheritance. So this is useful when we want to have a hierarchy of classes that inherit from each other. Okay, it is like a family tree. So an example is, so you have A is a parent. Similarly, you can define some function and B is the child of A and C is a child of B. Okay, so you can define all these functions and create an object for this C, which means it can access both its parent function is fun B, its grandparent function is fun A. So both the things it can access and its own function. Okay, so you will get the output as class B, class A and class C. Another practical example is you can assume my parent class is vehicle, and I have defined two functions, wheel and the accelerator, and I am defining one child class four wheeler whose parent is vehicle, and I am creating another function two wheeler whose parent is a four wheeler. So we have a multi-level, and here in each function I am defining some method. So each class I am defining some method, and I am creating an object for this two wheeler. Okay, and this function, this object can access all the functions. It can access the wheel, it can access the accelerator function, it can access the brake function as well as its display function. Okay, so in this case we have accessed the wheel function, so it will print it has wheels, and it has accessed the brake function, it will print used to stop vehicle, and in the display it will print the two wheeler method. So this is the output you will get. And in hierarchical inheritance, we have multiple child class and only one parent class. So this is what is called as a hierarchical inheritance. But this B can inherit the property of A, C can inherit the property of A, D can inherit the property of A, but there is no interlink between these B, C and D. So this hierarchical inheritance is useful when we have a hierarchy of classes that inherit from the same parent, and these are called the siblings of a family tree. Now, as an example, you have a parent and you have a child, and this child one, I said, we have seen, I've taken only two child inheriting from a single parent. So child one is inheriting from the parent, and we have printed child one in hierarchical inheritance, and child two is inheriting from the parent, and we have written child two is in hierarchical inheritance. Then what I do is I have to create an object, but while creating the object, I have to create a separate object for child 1. I have to create a separate object of child 2, because to access this parent, I need a separate objects. So this is how we'll access the parent from the first child class. And from the first child class, I can access this fun1 as well as fun2. When I create an object for child2, that is y, I can access the function like fun1 and the fun3. So you will get the output like this. So next practical example, what you can see is we can take animal as the parent class. And whenever I create an object, I will be passing some name, and that name is stored in the variable as name inside this class. And then I am just creating a function eat. Okay, so and this will print self dot whatever the name we supply. Along with that, it will say is eating. And I have created a dog, which is a child class of this animal, and cat is also a child class of this animal. Okay, uh, uh, and I have created a lion is nothing but it is a child class of cat. Okay, so it is an hierarchical. See, this animal is a base class under which we have dog and cat. So dog and cat are the siblings, and under this cat we have lion. Okay, so this is how the structure is. And now I will be creating an object for the dog. So I'm just passing one parameter buddy, which will be taken as the name variable. It will be stored in that name variable, and this is the object for that. Similarly, I'm creating an object for cat, and I'm creating an object for the lion. Okay, I'm passing some names like buddy, vistas, and Simba. Then how I am calling the methods is through this method dog, I can access the eat as well as its own function bark. Okay, and I can access through this cat method its own parent method, that is eat, and this own method. When I take lion, it can access both its parent as well as its grandparent. Okay, so the grandparent is eat, and then view, then row. Okay, so you will be getting the output like this. So this is an example of hierarchical inheritance. Hybrid inheritance means it will be combining more than one type of inheritance in the same code. So this will be useful whenever you want to utilize the feature of the inheritance to the level base. And if you want to implement a code that may require many types of inheritance, means we can opt for hybrid inheritance. Hybrid inheritance is useful when we are trying to solve complex problems which may require the use of multiple types of inheritance. So let me take one example. So as you can see, I have written an animal. Is this a base class? The same function, and mammal is belong. See, you can also give the same example as we discussed in the previous one for the hybrid inheritance also. So here mammal is a child class which is inheriting from animal, and bird is also inheriting from the animal. And we have written some functions like mammal will give birth, and lay eggs, birds will lay eggs. Okay, so like that. And I'm creating another function which is a multiple inheritance. See, this is hierarchical. Under animal you have mammal and the bird, and this is platypus, which is taking the multiple inheritance from the mammal and the bird. Okay, so this is something like animal. Under animal you have mammal and the bird, and mammal and bird combined together you have a platypus. Okay, so here you have we have used one function called super. That means that it uses the constructor of the base class. Okay, it's parent class. So I have created an object for platypus, and I am supplying their name Perry. Okay, so here everywhere we have used this constructor, which means along with the super method, which means that it will inherit from its parent. Okay, so here this will inherit from its parent, and which in turn it will inherit from the parent, where the name will be assigned. Okay. So when I call this method platypus dot eat, then it will automatically this platypus for its this platypus, this animal is becomes a grandparent. So it can access this eat method, and similarly it can access the method of its parents, mammal and the bird. So it can access give birth as well as the lay eggs method. That's it. So this is an example of the hybrid inheritance. So that is about inheritance and its types. So thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel to see more videos. Thank you.